Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Farewell Clayfax. This episode covers nightmares. Next to Haywire and Rebellion, I think this is one of the most popular episodes of Crosslines. After Haywire, I feel like each story upped the ante. Nightmares has the tying together of Atlas, Zebedee's and Castle's past, the wider world of the region, and the effects of scrapping. There are also a lot of moments that I'm quite proud of, such as the remains of the Masonry Bridge shed, anytime Creed appears, and the finale of the episode. Ein's Castle has a very faceted backstory, one of which I am still trying to pin down. It was hard to condense all of it into something that was workable and still helped advance the story. Castle's flashback here uses a lot of footage that was filmed before episode 1 was even completely filmed. The broken down 9F in the flashbacks is actually the one that ended up becoming Zebedee. A lot of scenes were cut down and streamlined and reorganised from draft to draft. The scene at Dragon's Wharf Station was once originally after the titles, with Zebedee talking to Castle outside West Shed. There was also going to be a bit where the photographer and his family talked to Ain's, but in the end this was edited out to make sure the story flowed better. Fun fact! No one likes building countryside sets during travelling sequences. I don't like doing it at all. Countryside and travel sequences are the bane of my existence. Had I had the proper patience for them back then, this sequence would have been a lot longer and had more diverse types of shot.
Hold on. No, nothing's wrong at all. I just remembered something about my past. I used to work here. This was my old line.
My voice is remarkably squeaky there. I like Whistler a lot. In a way, he's programmed the same way most diesels in the region were, knowing that they were to replace steam engines and knowing where their place in the world is. But he's on another level since he wants to sell one of the main characters for parts. What a strange little diesel he is. I'm very proud of the interior shots of Ember's shed. I like the flickering lights and how they cast shadows and keep Ember hidden while still illuminating parts of her. In fact, I'm very happy with the journey Ember goes through in this half of Crosslines. It's nice to rewatch this episode with the knowledge of where it all goes in the next episodes. There are some light smoke effects in this shot, which just so happen to be my breath. The shed itself where I film Crosslines gets really cold, even in the summer, so I decided to take advantage of it for a few shots. I am also thankful to have a voice cast this strong in Crosslines. Haywire was a stepping stone, but this episode I think fully embraces it. Moments like this...
I owe my entire existence to those around me. Well, certainly not like you have experienced. I do think about them.
Or this.
Even if you are just a spirit, you are still as stubborn as always, Creed. I'm sure you know what to do now.
I feel all the more stronger for it. I feel like I got the both sides have a point dynamic right between Atlas and Castle. Castle doesn't want to reopen old wounds but needs to face his fears. Atlas looks up to him but needs to be able to stand up to Castle and remind him that he shouldn't lock himself in the past. He needs to carry that weight, but also live for the future. I wanted the crane to feel like a tank turret. I had that image in my head and it seemed the best place to use it. I also think this is one of the best sequences in Crosslines. I like the lingering shot of Ember and Atlas looking at each other when they have to leave the scrapyard. It sets up their connection for the next episode. This story goes through some comparatively darker subjects, but after the engines leave it's quite important to balance that darkness out with something more light-hearted and hopeful.
I'm glad you came to terms with your past experiences.
Who says I've come to terms with it? The scars still remain.
It was also important for me to make it clear that Castle hadn't fully gone over his past. This one adventure hasn't healed him of the scars that were left behind, and I'm pretty sure that in any future adventures that he's involved in, he'll still be carrying that weight with him. I like this post-credit sequence and how it sets up a cliffhanger for the next episode. The next episode of which we will be covering tomorrow. But before I end this episode, here's a sneak peek at CL8.
Did you hear that? Is that what I think it is?
Much like the far-off distant calls of railway adventures far away, it's the familiar sound of Kodak complaining.
This gala is going to be a disaster! Overcrowded, understaffed. These are always a nightmare. Not to mention the serfs that get
For
thrown in.
goodness sake, Kojak, cheer up!
This is Half Baked 8, signing out.